October 2nd, 2016. After multiple failed attempts at live streaming a complete playthrough of the most non-conventional quote-unquote game of the Submachine series, I was finally able to play through the entirety of Submachine Universe with minimal errors. Because yes, I did miss a couple of locations, but I won't tell you which ones. For the most part, the stream went really well. It's been one of my favorites that I've hosted on this channel so far, another notable one being livestream 11, Subnet Dilemma, where Mateusz Skutnik himself dropped by to say hello. And livestream 8 was all about quote-unquote beating the Submachine Universe. And that's what makes this game unconventional. It's not one that can really be beaten unless you set personal goals for yourself. Let's back up a bit for a second and look at the history of this quote-unquote game. The first version of Submachine Universe was released on June 8th, 2010 and was comprised of 50 separate locations that were chock full of images, videos, and theories by users on the Pastel forum who tried to explain the deepest mysteries of the subnet. Over the years, the project grew, adding more locations, items, notes, and undergoing several name changes and layouts all the way up to present day, where it is now double its original size. And I call it a project and not a game for a reason, because Mateusz himself has said so. In 2009, a year before the project's premiere, he added this line of text to his website when referring to the project. This is not a game. And when you quote-unquote play through it, it's not hard to stop paying attention to what you quote-unquote have to do, and instead get lost in your own thoughts. However, the project does have a popular stopping point of sorts, and that stopping point is coordinate 291, the Sanctuary, which connects to MNT, known as the Mountain. In the Sanctuary, the explorer, who has been using various lab portals in different locations to jump from place to place, collecting information about thoughts of past explorers, can find a note which says this: "Greetings, lone traveler. I welcome you and congratulate you on getting here, as your virtues that lead you are one of three. Luck, if you just got here by accident from unrelated locations of the subnet. Patience, if you got here through systematic blind jumping through subsequent portal combinations. Or intelligence, as your journey was long and fruitful with solving the clues that finally led you here. You are indeed worthy of getting inside the sanctuary." Now this note means different things to different people, but any way you look at it, it seems that the explorer was somehow meant to end up at this location, and some people get there in different ways. The first way described, luck, meant that whoever was in the subverse started to punch in random coordinates into the lab portal, trying to find coordinates that would teleport them to a new location. The second way described, patience, meant that someone took the time to try out every possible coordinate to see which ones worked by just starting at 000 and constantly adding 999 more times. It's slow, but it's foolproof. And then there's the final method known as intelligence. This is by far the most demanding but also the most satisfying method of reaching 291 for the first time. It involves the players to look for and keep track of a specific line of coordinates and clues that lead to other coordinates, and making sure to hit each one in order to find the next. It's important that the player scours every inch of the rooms and theories in order to catch all of the clues. Miss one and you might be stuck at a roadblock to the next location for a long time. And this method is what I was using in my live stream. On the right side of my screen was the game window, nice and clear, but afterward it became apparent to me that not everyone might have understood what I was doing on the left side of the screen, which came out looking like a jumbled mess of circles, numbers, and letters. So let me take the time to explain what I was doing and how you can use what I was doing to help you in your own personal journey throughout the Submachine universe. And what I was doing was building a map. Not a map of the physical subnet, which is so far impossible to accurately create, but a map of the clues that I used. Like everyone else who's played this, I started at coordinates 000, and I wrote down 000, and I circled it. Then I turned on the computer and received the first 6 clues: 051, 076, 541, 551, 628, and 642. I went and tried the first one, 051, but before I did so, I marked it down on the paper, extending a short line outside the circle and closing 000 and writing 051 at the end. The lines show that a location in the inner circle showed clues to, or quote-unquote clued to, these 6 other locations. Then when I got to 051 and found clues for 523 and 917, I did the same thing, expanding outward from 051. I did the same with the other 5 original clues, going clockwise around this new circle. Then when I was done, I jumped up to 523 and started the cycle again, creating a gradual outward spiral. And as you can see, the connecting lines don't mean that the locations are physically connected, but that they're connected in the sense that the inner clues to the outer. And the circles are not layers or physical sections of the subnet, but instead represent what I'll call levels of understanding, or levels of knowledge. And as you keep gathering clues and visiting locations, your understanding and knowledge of what is truly out there expands greatly. Now this method, which was first used by a previous Submachine fan known as Momroy? We'll go with Momroy. Back in April 2011 on version 2.4 of the project. The model works very well for a load of reasons. It is much more effective than trying to keep track of everything using the in-game notes, which doesn't allow for a lot of manipulation of room to keep your notes and coordinates all in order. It provides a great visual map for you to go back and forth to in case you feel like you missed a clue along the way, so you can backtrack very easily. If developer Matt decides to add more locations in a future Subverse update, it'll be easy to place them in the graph as well. And finally, it just looks cool. The circular design reminds me very faintly of the subnet infestation graph from Submachine 6, even though the two are in no way related at all, I think. So I've gone to great lengths to compile my own updated map, and, well, it's quite a lot bigger and looks much more intimidating. Notice that I've been pointing to this circle on the left this whole time, but suddenly this second circle has come from seemingly nowhere, and it has its own locations and clue paths. This is a special addition that I have made that Momroy didn't, and let me explain what it is. On the left side of the graph / map / diagram, we have what looks like Momroy's original work, a bunch of concentric circles with the locations blossoming and branching out from the center. And it works pretty well, but not well enough for me. While it does follow the basic stated principle that as you advance knowledge, you advance outward from the center circle, it's not 100% consistent. My left circle graph in comparison actually contains fewer locations than Momroy's does, even though the subnet has expanded over time. There's a very good reason why I removed some of those locations. Most of the clues to locations found in the Submachine universe are pretty straightforward, provided you can do a bit of math, know some Roman numerals, or just have a keen eye for clue plates and reading through theories. Most importantly, all of these type of clues usually give you the entire coordinate at once and don't make you go to other locations to piece a potential coordinate together, but some do. For example, location 378, which is found by finding 3 plates with triangular lights with numbers on them in 3 separate locations, or 442, which is found by using an equation found in one location and solving it with a variable in the equation found in a second location. Momroy has added locations found in this way to the original graph, and since they can't be traced back from one location by itself, since the clues for these locations are stored in multiple other locations, gaps form. And also they're inconsistent with the circles that they appear in. Not all of them are pieced together in the same circle or level of intelligence. So in order to circumvent this problem, I created the second circle, which is interesting to me because it contains a lot less locations but involves a lot more levels of intelligence. The center of this circle doesn't contain any locations, but instead contains a ring of letter combinations which represent each multi-location clue system that you come across in your travels. Now most are labeled with a single letter based on the order that I first discovered the puzzles in, but there are some with special abbreviations which belong to the clue systems that involve same colored plates and lights. Now the puzzles are arranged in a clockwise fashion again, but this time they are arranged in the circle based on the order in which they are completed, and that's why you see puzzles A through H seemingly out of order, with the others sprinkled in between. Now for the next question, how did I choose which level of intelligence these special locations appeared in? Basically the same way as before with the left circle, with the new location being one level outward from the previous. However, these locations required clues from multiple previous locations, so I chose to base it off the last location where a clue was found for a specific clue system. In order to keep track of every location that had a clue for a certain clue system, I also marked in the corner of the location the abbreviation for the clue system for which clues were found there. An example of this, location 355. The first clue for this location was found in level 6, but the last 2 were found in level 9. So I placed 355 in the next level up, level 10. And that's what makes this graph much more accurate than Momroy's design, albeit a little more to process visually. And that's basically it. The only thing left to add to the graph is a special section for Easter egg locations, which can only be found by guessing, and I've placed them neatly between the 2 super circles. This method of circular graph creation, if used carefully, and a little bit of manipulation of clue systems later in the process, will get you all the way out to 291 in level 10, and one step farther to MNT, the mountain, in level 11. It's a logical, accurate map of knowledge, and it will continue continue to be for future updates to come. You can find a full resolution copy of this graph available for download, both with and without words describing what everything means, in the description below. And in case you're one to regularly browse the Submachine wiki, I've added a navigation box at the end of each Submachine Universe location page. There are two sections. The first lists all locations in the game in numerical order, like one would explore them in the patience method, and the second is a rectangular representation of the circular graphs that I've been talking about this whole time. Take a look at them. You'll probably be able to figure them out pretty quickly after watching this video. The navigation box is meant to help you jump from page to page as you learn more about the subnet on your own time. Now, I know that whole explanation of what I was doing earlier with the graphs was pretty detailed and might have been hard to follow, especially if you're not familiar with the Submachine Universe, so if you have any additional questions, just drop a comment below and I'll help you out. Hopefully this video was a useful guide that you can use for your own ventures in the future of the Submachine Universe. Until next time, this is Jotsko, hoping to see you again sometime down the road. Bye-bye.